Hey, it's Soul, and welcome back to Warcraft Weekly, the biggest show on WoW, but it really isn't. Hit the like button and subscribe to satisfy that YouTube algorithm. And we got a lot to cover with a new alpha build, there's the upcoming Season 4, and drama. Pointless, angry drama. Real quick, if you have Amazon Prime, you can head to the Prime Gaming portal and claim the Hood of Hungering Darkness. It's the second of the 3 transmog helmets that are going to be available during this promotion, and it only takes a few moments to get, unless you don't have Amazon Prime, which goes for roughly don't buy a service you don't need to get a helmet. Heck, you can become an engineer and get way cooler transmog come Dragonflight. We had a huge alpha build which marks phase 3 of the current testing. I covered stuff in depth throughout the week, and I invite you to give some of your valuable time to take a look at this week's videos. For now, let's just recap some highlights. Testers got to zip around the Waking Shores, and we learned quite a bit. For example, dragon riding can be learned within the first couple of hours of the expansion, and improving your dragon riding abilities will not require some side stuff like, repping up with every faction or some other pointless grind, at least not yet. But instead, we've got to hone our skill with riding by finding and collecting tokens that unlock perks. It's pretty straightforward, and I find that very cool. We got a taste of some of the max level activities we'll be completing for the Dragon Scale Expedition, one of the factions in Dragonflight during Endgame. It's an early look, but we'll be doing some mountain climbing and picture taking while riding on a raft. I'm pretty sure there's going to be plenty of violence throughout the Dragon Isles, but I tend to enjoy the non-combat activities too. The jewel crafting and leatherworking professions made their debut, featuring cool items like socket upgrades for necks, leg armor kits, and fun stuff like tents and statues. It also more or less solidified the way epic crafting is going to work, I think. Between this item that all players will steadily get in order to craft gear, this farmable cosmic flux-like item to get access to heroic level crafting, and a mythic level item that is going to ruin pretty much everything because this is what's going to get the most attention. Meanwhile, mages and paladins minus holy specializations arrived in test along with the Ruby Life Pool's dungeon. They, along with pretty much all the other class, it's all pretty busted, but there are some interesting designed approaches that the team is making. I gave my piece on protection paladins and they feel nerfed, but it's gonna be like 4 or 5 months until we can draw some real conclusions. I'm gonna keep giving my feedback, but for now, that's where we're at. Overall, in this 3rd week of the alpha, we're starting to see the ebb and flow of feedback. Like, this feature is great, but something. This class is broken, and here's a suggestion. The vibe, though, has still been pretty positive. The response from the WoW team has been fairly active, although I trust that once all the zones and dungeons can be tested, every specialization and feature and transmog thing is available, we're gonna see this attention get spread pretty thin. Like I said, Dragonflight is still months away, but next week is the start of Season 4 of Shadowlands, unleashing a flurry of new content for raiders and PvPers and dungeon running people and that's it. I'll get into the how to do stuff in the Monday reminder video in a couple days, but for now, let's do an overview. Season 4 is a shorter but still a bona fide season, with an increase of item level rewards, but with numerous exceptions. There are no major world content updates outside of world bosses. Sandworn relics are going to be account tradable, although actually that came in a hotfix. You can move that stuff around right now. There's no item level increase from world quests or covenant callings. There's no profession updates, meaning no crafter's mark for one special item or even legendary upgrades. So to be blunt, for those who don't participate in the big 3, organized raids, dungeons, and PvP, next week the lull continues outside of a rotating world boss that's going to drop some better gear. I'd say that raiders and dungeon people are going to get the biggest windfall this season with experimental features that the team is having them try out. Raiders will be rotating between all 3 Shadowlands raids per week and encountering minor affixes to breathe a little bit of new life into old encounters. So maybe it'll make bosses easier, maybe a little bit harder. I guess we're going to find out next week. The WoW team is also experimenting with an upgrade scheme where killing bosses will get you tokens that you can combine and then apply to upgrade your current gear. The impression that I have so far is that it's a neat and clever way for people who raid exclusively to keep feeling like they're getting a little bit stronger with each clear, even if they don't get gear that week. But between that, Mythic Plus rewards, and the dinars that will let you choose the gear that you want, there's going to be a lot to consider, and we're going to have to come back to this in like a month or so with some honest reactions. Meanwhile, Mythic Plus dungeons are being turned upside their head. The 2 wings of Tazavesh are going to stay in the rotation, but the other Shadowlands dungeons, they're out. So long, least favorite dungeon, I'll see you on the other side. Instead, we're getting the return of Mechagon and Karazhan and 2 Warlords dungeons, Grimrail Depot and Iron Docks. Yay. The primary goal here is to address stagnation. After all, running the same 8 dungeons for 2 years, regardless of changing affixes and seasonal affixes, it can get old. Adding a dungeon or 2 during the expansion, it helps out, but the old dungeons are still there. So I guess Blizzard's idea is, how about changing all the dungeons? Or I guess in this case, most of the dungeons. I can already predict mixed results from this experiment. I mean, the dungeons are going to feel fresh, however, the dungeons are going to feel fresh. Like, the WoW team is going to have to be super agile with responding to complaints, because outside of hotfixes, there ain't going to be no second chances. There's not going to be like a next season to fix major issues that make the dungeons feel less fun for whatever reason. There are new challenges ahead with this experimental season, but already there are clear winners and losers, even before the season starts. Big 3 players clearly win this season. They're getting stuff, while people who don't do organized group content, well, Season 4 might as well not exist. To be fair, there are the world bosses that I mentioned. There's Cubal content with LFR and the Dungeon Finder, giving people access to loot tables of those levels. There's still the dungeon and time walking events every few weeks as well. Professions aren't going to get new crafter mark things or legendary base pieces, but items are still going to move. The market just isn't going to, stop moving, period. But we've also got to talk about the Jigglesworth Senior mount, aka the Jellycat mount, and the huge backlash from fans when a blue post pointed out that the achievement related to obtaining this mount could only be completed by running normal and higher difficulty, or, basically organized raid groups. For all I know, and I want to kind of disclaim this, for all I know, by the time you watch this, the WoW team might have changed their tune on this, but it's still an important topic to cover, just not for the reasons you think. For anyone who's been paying attention, just the other day, less than a week before the start of Season 4, a blue post on the official forums addressed a poster who asked, "Oh, can I get the cat mount through Raid Finder?" And they got an unambiguous no, that will not be possible in Season 4, followed by them saying, "I'm personally hoping for the reappearance of the Friendship Moose community we saw 6 years ago." Really fun times. Yeah. Now, I want to make it clear that despite the super toxic cesspool of comments that are out there and probably below in this video, this is not about Raid Finder. This is not about what is real raiding or what is an MMORPG supposed to be. It's not about whether Raid Finder should feel rewarding or just be like a no reward tourist experience. And for those who are new here to this channel, I run an organized raid team. I don't have skin in the game, okay? I don't even like cats. What this flub is about, this forum flub, it's about managing expectations, which is different from announcements or making promises that aren't kept or design decisions that are like changed or whatever. It's about managing expectations. As far back as March, data mining uncovered evidence of the Slimesaber mount, and a month later came the achievements to complete each of the raids while fated on any difficulty. And by completing all 3, the meta that these 3 achievements are attached to is unlocked and the mount is yours. Any difficulty while fated. It's hard to try and twist that into a non-Raid Finder achievement because, historically, the WoW team has made it clear when an achievement needs a specific raid difficulty to qualify. And more so, this achievement is live. It's here. It's been awarded like this from the very start, even in the PTR, with no known changes. You can log in right now, pull it up, and you can see it for yourself. I even double-checked my own coverage back in April when I first saw this, and I still have the captured assets when I looked at the PTR build in-game. So there's nothing to argue here, because if there really was, if this really was a thing, like where were the anti-LFR people when this achievement appeared months ago, or when it went live in June? Why didn't they just march down Twitter Avenue with their outrage? And here's another question, please think this one through if you're interested in answering it. But if this statement, this forum statement was never made, and if the achievement did work for every difficulty, and on the first day of the third week of season 4, the capitals, were littered with cats all over the place, how would you feel? Now maybe you'd think, yeah, this is cool. We're the first jelly cats, and everyone would be running circles around Oribos. Or maybe you'd sneer at people, wondering, oh, who among them got it from running the tourist mode? Who among you are the unworthy? Or maybe you're just too busy making cat screenshots, because who cares what other people have? You got yours. The debate over who deserves what rewards, or whether Raid Finder's appeal is about a lack of skill or a lack of time, those are perfectly fine conversations to have at the philosophical level, at the design level. The Blue Post mentioned the friendship/moose map back when we were killing Archimond over and over again for this thing. In this case, though, we're dealing with completing 3 full raids that are spread across, 3 rotating weeks. That's like 30 or so bosses. The entire experience of trying to get into groups for that is very different. I shouldn't be distracting you folks with that. That's not what we're talking about here. Not here. Because people can see this. People have made plans for this. They've resubscribed for this. Those who don't even so much as run Raid Finder are up for going outside of their wheelhouse for this. This achievement, this currently unattainable but live achievement, and this public statement is a contradiction. It's a paradox. Somebody in the WoW team messed up. Now, I believe that I did my due diligence in my reporting back in April and came to reasonable conclusions that, of course, are always subject to change, but they never changed. So Blizzard, I think, owns this. And currently the narrative that I can sell is that this is a bait and switch. It's straight up them putting up a sign and leaving it up for months saying, hey guys, everyone's welcome. And on the 11th hour, when we're all starting to get in line and get together, they change the sign. Actually, no, they don't even change it. They just come out with a statement saying, no, that's not what the sign really means. But hey, I hope that you all figure it out as a community. So let me make myself very, very clear, put us back kind of on topic. It's not about Raid Finder. It's not about who deserves to get nice things or what difficulty players should be capable of clearing or groups of players with needs that are sometimes in conflict with each other. It's simply about following through with what you've already started. And if this achievement does leave Raid Finder behind, all those folks who keep saying, oh, Raid Finder sucks and those players don't deserve anything and normal is easier and faster to clear, those Jellycat hunters, they might try to get into those people's groups. And then it's going to be on them to make raiding feel like this really cool and prestigious and rewarding thing to do. I mean, that's what they intend to do, right? But anyway, the floor is yours. I want to hear your thoughts on all of this, and that's the show. So I have a feeling that between like Season 4 and Wrath Classic and Season of Mastery, I know I didn't even really mention those, and the Dragonflight Alpha, and then the beta, there's probably going to be a book for the expansion. Then there's the pre-patch, and so on and so forth. Time's going to fly, right? I think time's totally going to like fly by. I mean, it's not like we're going to do all of those things at once. I know a good chunk of you haven't even been playing WoW for quite a while, and you're just here to get an idea of what's up in WoW or what is Blizzard's latest cluster. But in WoWland, it feels like there's no time to rest almost. Like there's been something going on in our little universe pretty much every week. And speaking of next week, the Dragonflight Alpha is going to enter Phase 4, which opens up the leveling zone Thaldrazis and the capital city of Valdrakken. I can't wait for this one because we might be able to test out crafting orders, and we're going to find out just how crafting epic gear is going to work between a crafter and their client. So for now, let's start wrapping up. Starting with a huge thank you to the subscribers over on Twitch, the beloved patrons to the right somewhere over there. Y'all are great. And to you, viewer, for making it to the end. I'm especially grateful for the feedback and the kind comments about my production schedule. It honestly gets pretty tiring sometimes, but it's still so much fun to discover new things and then share my findings, even when I'm wrong, especially when I'm wrong, because that is what this is all about. even if we're jumping ahead looking at an alpha. So I invite you to join me next week for some more alpha shenanigans, the start of season 4 of Shadowlands, and whatever flies our way. So don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more content, and to drop by on Twitch every now and then. Coffee with Soul takes place Tuesdays through Thursdays starting at 8:30 a.m. Pacific, and I'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.